What's up, Attack MMA? I'm your host, Zach Weicker, and today we got a very special guest. He's a professional fighter with a 20-8 record and will be fighting at UFC Fight Night on July 20th. Please welcome Kurt Holobaugh. Kurt, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Of course, man. And before we get into the fight stuff, I know you're a big family guy. You have a family of 4 kids, and Father's Day was this past weekend. So how did you spend Father's Day with your kids?
We went out, we did some fishing, me and some of my boys and my wife. We took my boat out, went and did some fishing, and had a good weekend.
That sounds great. And of course, being a father is a lifelong dream of a lot of people. And there's ups, there's downs. It's a crazy journey. So what are some of the lessons you have learned from being a father?
Of course you learn a ton from being a father or a dad, whatever you want to call it. But just learning how to be a role model and teach your kids coming up, make sure they're doing all the right things.
That's great. And not really kids, but you can say you're a father in a different way because you have a bunch of animals as you own a farm. So what inspired you to get a farm?
My wife, definitely not me, definitely all my wife. She's a big animal lover. And so I mean, from the day one we got together, she had a Saint Bernard, and then animals started multiplying from there.
Yeah.
I said she can get 1 horse, she gets 2. I say she can get 1 dog, she gets 3. And now we got, I don't even know.
Seems like it's countless. And you mentioned earlier that you fished with your kids. So it seems like you're big into the outside world, you're big into nature, big into animals. So how would you say your connection with nature and your connection with the outside and animals has shaped you into the individual you are?
Just being like pure country, man. I love to be in the outdoors. I love to fish. I love to go adventuring down rivers and creeks. Um, so yeah, man, it's turned me into a big time country boy.
And you are from Louisiana, and there's a lot of country in that area. So how much does Louisiana mean to you?
It means a lot. I don't think it's a place that I'll ever leave. I do a lot of traveling. I go around the world a good bit. Just last week I was in Canada. Um, we're always traveling. I'm always in Alabama, Mississippi for some of our local MMA shows for some of my guys. But nothing to me is like Louisiana.
Yeah, of course. And it sounds like you have a lot in Louisiana with your farm, with your family, of course, everything else surrounding it. So it makes me think of the Ultimate Fighter, and it must have been really hard for you to leave all of that. So during those hard times, what kept you pushing forward?
Yeah, it was definitely hard, but the things that kept me pushing forward is knowing everything back home was perfectly fine. I have a good wife. The first thing she said, she basically made me go on that show with other teammates. They all forced me, hey, no, you need to do this show. We got this back here. Don't worry about it. You go do your thing. We'll hold things down here. And it's basically what my wife did around the house, did everything she needs to do. I felt 100% confident in her that to be able to do that because we have 2 gyms that we run. Of course, we have our home life, the animals at home, and everything seemed to go well. Didn't get no phone calls while I was on the show, so that's what that's what made it comfortable for me.
That's great to hear. And of course, they're filming The Ultimate Fighter right now, or not filming, they're airing the next season of The Ultimate Fighter right now. So what are your thoughts on that season?
I've caught the first 2 episodes. To me, it's kind of a slow starting season, man. Maybe it's just because I know what it's really like in there, and I know they got a lot of stuff probably going on behind the scenes. And I just, of course, I'm probably biased, but I just feel like from episode 1, our season so far was 10 times better.
Yeah, of course, with the personalities of McGregor and Chandler, it's kind of hard not for it to be a big sensation. And you mentioned there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So, is there any funny stories or anything from behind the scenes that was not captured in your season?
Man, there was actually a lot. I wish they would have showed a lot more um, behind the scenes stuff. Some of the pranks they might have went on. Geez, man. I mean, Of course, they had one incident, which it's kind of gotten out. I think somebody released some footage of it. Conor McGregor actually running past and slapping Cody Gibson in his face. That was one I feel like they could have definitely aired and played and made it big. They didn't. Um, the producers and everybody said, "No, yeah, we didn't get it on film." And then you see, a year later, a little bit of footage of Conor running and slapping Cody. There was some pranks where you know, I can't remember who exactly did it. It could have been Jason Knight. Jason Knight, they switched mattresses with Brad Katona, and Brad come casually walking downstairs. We had like a 2-story. We was in the basement part where the game room is, and he's like, "Jason, did you steal my mattress?" And everybody just lost it. Um, there was a part where I had a cut from my fight with Lee Hammond. I had a cut over my eyebrow, and they glued it. And man, I'll just sit there and I'll just mess with it, and mess with it, and mess with it. And I'm peeling it and not realizing I'm peeling off my entire eyebrow. And we're all playing cards, that's what we did a lot there. We're all playing cards. Me, Jason Knight, Roosevelt Roberts, Austin Hubbard, our many more. I can't remember who was at the table, but Jason Knight for sure. I'm sitting there and I'm peeling this glue off my eyebrow, thinking I'm getting the glue, but really I'm peeling the entire eyebrow off, and I finally just rip it. And I'm like, damn, I got it. And Jason looks up and he's like, holy shit, you just ripped your whole eyebrow off. And he starts yelling for everybody to come downstairs and look at my eyebrow. Never seen him laugh so hard. So that's just some of the things that I think they could have put on there to make it really funny. And they didn't. So it kind of sucks.
Yeah, and of course it was a success, but if you look at season one, season five, it was famous because of all the stuff that was shown out of the fighting. So do you think your season could have been more popular than it already was if they showed all those behind the scenes stuff?
For sure. Yeah. And the difference is, okay, I understand that we were on ESPN for the first time ever, so they wanted to keep it like a lot more professional, a lot more about the fighting, but we didn't have guys getting drunk, breaking up the house and stuff like that. Man, everybody in the house was so cool, whether there was a vet or a prospect, everybody knew what they was there to do. I mean, they had some nights where some of the guys would drink, but everybody was cool. There's no animosity of guys trying to fight each other when they get drunk or break down doors. So, man, I think that's what made our season special, and I think that's why they could have probably fit more. If they would have known it was going to be like that, maybe they would have. I don't know. It all depends on, I guess, what the ESPN is looking for. Major sports network. They don't want no garbage on there. So that's why I believe they're more on just showing the training and the fighting and stuff like that.
Yeah, and there did seem to be like a special connection between you all. And I know talking with some other guys on the show, there's a group chat between you all. So do you guys still use
Yep.
that group chat, and what's your relationship like with all of them?
Yeah, man, everybody's really cool. And like, yeah, we're all in a group chat. I want to say Aaron McKenzie just posted something a few days ago in some of the guys read. So normally when we have some of the guys fighting out of the house, everybody will chime in, wish everybody luck, and then we'll get to talking a little bit. But yeah, we definitely got a group chat and we try to stay in touch.
Yeah, that's great to hear, man. And on the coaches, McGregor and Chandler, they're supposed to fight next week, and now that is off. So it's kind of been over a year since Tough was aired. So what's your whole thoughts on the matter?
Yeah, man, it kind of sucks, but it's not. I'm not surprised. It's taken so long already. You would feel like, that fight would have done happen. Being the show was shit going on maybe 2 years now. Um, I'm not surprised. Hopefully things get worked out, man. Hopefully Connor gets his shit together and he's ready to fight. I feel like it's definitely not on Michael Chandler's side. He's already waited so long. I feel like it's definitely Connor, which everybody pretty much knows that. So hopefully he gets it together, man, and they get the fight, because I feel like Chandler's about to start moving on.
Yeah. And you hear Connor say that Chandler was gonna get paid 10 times his normal perks.
Right.
Oh, this is a huge opportunity for Chandler, but a lot of people are saying he should just move on, and he should not even fight McGregor at this point because there's a good chance the fight doesn't happen. So what do you think Chandler should do?
If I'm Chandler, I feel like Chandler's already financially set. I don't think Chandler needs to fight. He's already done so much in the sport. If I'm Chandler, I'm probably gonna give that fight a little more time. Just see if that fight would happen. Because like I said, Mike don't need to fight. He's fighting because he still loves to fight. You know, um, Connor, I don't know. I don't know if Connor he ain't fighting for money and he ain't fighting because he loves to fight. That's why I think he's just waiting for motivation. He's waiting to really want to fight, I guess. And I guess every time he feels like he really wants to fight and starts training, he says, "Nah, maybe I don't. I don't know." But yeah, if I'm Chandler, I might give it a little more time.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Just such a huge opportunity to pass on, but at some point you got to make those hard decisions. And to go back to you in the final of Tough, you ended up winning, and after your first two stints with the UFC did not go your way. How much did it mean to you to finally get that win in the UFC and to be the Ultimate Fighter?
It meant everything, man. And what it is I always tell myself everything happens for a reason, and I feel like everything really happened for that reason. So yeah, it meant the world to me. It let me know that I could win fights in the UFC. It let me know that I can fight with all these high level guys, and it was definitely a milestone in my career.
Yeah, for sure, and definitely a huge achievement of yours. And the last time we did see you was a little bit of a down in the Trey Ogden fight. So, what did you learn from that fight?
I learned that I may have overworked myself. I didn't have a lot of motivation. When they gave me that fight, I was about 12 weeks out, and I started going balls to the wall right there in training camp, training my hardest every day, multiple times a day, 6, 7 days a week. And I just feel like I hit a wall, man. It hit a wall. That just wasn't me. So I'm trying to do things a little bit different for this fight camp. I was out 7 months before the UFC matched me up with Trey. Not by my choice. I kept reaching out, trying to get fights, and UFC just wasn't booking me. So when they finally booked me, it was 7, 8 months after the fight with Hubbard. So my weight was high, so I started training hard, started dieting right away, and I felt like I put myself in a bad spot.
Yeah, I feel you there. And a little less of a turnaround now for your next fight with Kaynan Kruschewsky. So, what are your thoughts on your opponent and what are your thoughts on his fighting style and strengths?
He's a tough guy, man. He's a newcomer. He's a guy that hasn't been around. He's only got one fight in the UFC, but I mean that doesn't mean nothing. A fight's a fight, and anything can happen. I can't go in there and be like, "Hey, I got so many fights in the UFC. This guy, he'll never be able to beat me. He's only got one fight." You know, we're all professionals. We all fight in the UFC. We're the best fighters in the world. Anything can happen on any given night, and I always know that. So that's why I'm training hard as I can. I'm trying to fix the mistakes that I made from the last training camp. I'm trying to fix the mistakes I made in the last fight. Uh, I feel really good about it. I think Kenyon's going to come. He's going to come to fight, man. And that's what I like about him and his style. I think he's a real fighter. He's going to come to fight. He's not going to try to point fight. And I love to fight that style, and that's the style that I always do well against. So I'm going to welcome the challenge.
For sure. And are you someone that likes to watch tape? And if so, what did you think of his performances in his UFC bout and in the Contender Series bout against Mantello?
Yeah, I mean, I do watch some footage. I'm not the guy that's sitting there breaking it down every single day. I like to watch it a few times, and then I probably won't mess with it much. I'll leave it to my coaches to break it down. But I've watched quite a few of his fights, man. Like I said, he's not a bad fighter. He'll come to fight. He likes to stand. He likes to bang a little bit. When when it gets tough for him, he'll wrestle a little bit. He's got a lot of wins by submission. Um, he fought Dylan Mantello on the Contender Series, which is a guy we're very familiar with because I've had one of my guys fight him twice. And I felt like Mantello made a big mistake when he just tried to get up and just turn his back with no regards to Canyon, and Canyon take the back and choke him. And then his first fight in the UFC, he tried to go toe to toe with Elvis Brenner, which is what I hope he tries to do with me, because I feel like that's, like I said, that's the style that I do well against, and I feel like I can find the knockout.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, that's his strengths, but to you, where do you think you stand out in this fight?
Um, I stand out with my pressure. I feel like if I can get him on his back foot a little bit, keep him along the cage, that takes a lot away from him. Um, and as long as I'm able to keep coming forward and landing big punches, I think ultimately he'll gas down a little bit, and I'll be able to control the fight wherever it goes and get a stoppage.
Is there any certain round you think the stoppage will happen, or whatever happens, happens?
No, I think whatever happens, happens, man. I'm going to go out there from the very first round. I'm going to go at a hard pace and really try to put it on him. I really want to make a statement in this fight to let everybody know that I'm still here and I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. I would love for the finish to happen in the first round, but if I have to just beat him down for 3 rounds and get a decision, I'll take the win however I can get it. But just really coming for a win.
Definitely, man, and definitely the right way to look at it. And something new about this fight is the new gloves. So have you tried those out yet? And what's your thoughts on the gloves?
I have, the UFC sent me a pair. At first, when I first put them on, I'm like, oh, man, I don't really like them. It's not much different. And then I put them on a couple other times, and I'm like, they kind of start to grow on you a little bit, but really, they're not much different. I don't see a whole bunch of difference in the glove. If anything, they seem a little smaller. They seem a little thinner to me. So my biggest thing about gloves is I don't like my fingers being too tight, and I think that's just something with all the UFC gloves. So just have to work them out, man. Work them out, get them fit on the hand, and hopefully I can get a knockout in the new gloves.
Yeah, we'd love to see that. And the main proponent of these new gloves is it's supposed to prevent eye pokes. And so far, there has still been quite a few eye pokes. So do you think these gloves will prevent them a little less than the previous gloves?
I'm not really sure, man. I think fight styles prevent eye pokes. If you're a guy that likes to paw a lot with open hand, you're gonna poke the eye. And I think unless you can make a glove that just takes away the fingers, I don't think you can stop eye pokes.
Yeah, it's kind of hard right there. And to go back to you in this fight, how's your training camp been so far?
It's been good, man. I feel really healthy. My body's healthy. Um, like I said before, another big mistake I made. I dieted really, really hard for the last camp, really too early, and I felt like I lost too much weight too quick. Right now, I still feel healthy. I still feel heavy, as in I'm not on weight. I'm still 20 pounds off, and I feel good. So, and I still feel like it's not going to be a hard weight cut. So, we're about a month out now. I'm still training hard. I'm still able to be strong in the training room, and I think I'm going to try to maintain that until a week or two before and really start tampering the weight down. And when the training's done. But while I got to be an animal in the weight room and in the training room, I need to have some weight behind me.
Yeah. That's great to hear. And I know on weight cutting day, that weight cutting week, everyone has their different approaches and different tips and tricks on how to cut weight. So how do you cut weight on fight week?
It's pretty simple for me. I like to do a lot of mitt work. I like to do some light grappling with my coaches. And the cool thing about being in Vegas is you always get to go to the PI. So, and of course, the PI's got a sauna, they got hot tub, cold tub, whatever you want. So, I like to go get a good little workout with my sweats on, get a good sweat going, you know, 5 to 10 rounds of mitts, depends on what we're doing, a little bit of grappling here and there, and then go jump in the sauna for 5, 10 minutes just to finish a little sweat. And the UFC makes things easy these days, man. You get your own personal little sauna to bring to your room, so you jump in whenever you want, and it's pretty simple. So yeah, that's my routine for fight week. Couple workouts, little sauna here and there, and I normally get get on weight pretty easily.
That's great. And I know a lot of people don't like fighting the apex, but do you like it because you also get to use the PI?
Um, I like using a PI. I'll say I don't dislike fighting in the apex. I would rather fight in front of a crowd. I feel like I'm a guy that's going to come put on a show. Now that they are giving tickets for family, I don't mind it so much. Um, but still, man, everybody wants to fight in a crowd, but I don't mind it. I'm good with fighting in apex.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And you have fought in different states, different venues, but is there any still venues or any or states, any countries that are still on your bucket list that you'd like to fight at?
Um, I don't want to ever leave the country again unless it's to fight in Japan. I do want to fight in Japan one time, other than that, I'm good with leaving the country. I'll fight anywhere in the US. I don't care. But Japan's the only place I like to leave the country for.
What about Japan in specific that makes you want to go there?
Just from Pride days back in the day, Pride and Dream and all that. Um, I was a big fan of the Fast and the Furious, and they did the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift out in Japan. And I'm just like, man, I really want to go to Japan one day. And being that Pride was in Japan and it's a big fight capital, I would like Japan.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And the UFC hasn't been to Japan in quite a while, so it would be great to see them back there. And something that I really like that you do is you also own your own gym. So how's it like being on that side of MMA?
It's cool, but at the same time, it's hard, especially when I'm still a full-time fighter, and I'm still trying to fight because, I still show up every day and I teach the classes at my gym, and then I got to get my own training in, and then I like to venture around and go train with some other gyms that I work with a lot. My head coach has his own separate gym. We're all the same affiliation, but I got to drive 45 minutes for him. So normally I'll go throughout the mornings on Tuesdays and Thursdays and try to work with him. Um, but it's cool, man. It's always cool to have your own spot because no matter what, it keeps me in a gym. Just like I lost my last fight against Trey, and the very next week I'm back in the gym because I gotta go to work. I'm teaching the guys. I'm still training my guys. I got a lot of amateurs and pro guys that fight. My kids fight. My wife competes. So I'm back in the training room every day training with them. So it keeps me in shape.
Yeah, and on your kids fighting, you mentioned to me earlier that one of your kids is fighting today. So what is it like training your kids and watching them fight?
It's fun, man. I got two kids fighting tonight. I got my 4-year-old. He's gonna do a grappling match inside the cage with another 4 or 5-year-old, and I got my 13-year-old that's gonna do an MMA bout, youth MMA bout. So it's always fun, man. The nerves are crazy. I get more nervous for them fighting than I do myself fighting, but it's always a fun night.
Yeah. And a lot of fighters have mixed emotions about letting their kids fight. Some want them to be totally away from the sport, and some want them to follow in their own footsteps. So, what about yourself that let your kids fight and you like them following your own footsteps?
For sure. Yeah, I definitely feel like I want my kids to follow in my footsteps. But I also want them to be able to make their own choices and decisions to do anything they want in life. So I'm hoping martial arts helps grow them in every way possible. And that way they got the skill. If they want to be a fighter, they can. If they want to be a coach in a gym, they can. If they want to go out and do something else, they can. Um, but yeah, I definitely love to see them follow my footsteps.
That's awesome, man. And of course, you fight, you coach, you own your own gym. Is there anything else in MMA that you'd like to do?
No, just get some of my guys to the UFC, man, so I can go to the UFC and not have to fight all the time. So I can go with them. So that's my goal is to get some guys to the UFC.
That's great, man. And my final question for you is before you retire in however many years, that could be in a while, hopefully in a while, how do you want to be remembered in the sport?
Just as a guy that would come and put on a great fight every time. You know, I mean, you never know what the future holds. Of course, I would love to be a champion. I would love to be somebody that gets put in a Hall of Fame one day. Got a long ways to go, but just definitely somebody that when they mention my name, they're like, oh yeah, that guy. Every time he was on the card, we was expecting a good fight.
That's a great way, man. Is there anything you want to shout out, anything you want to plug before you head out of here?
No, man, thanks for having me on the show. Definitely thanks to everybody that's all my fans, all my sponsors, um, everybody that keeps up with the journey. Follow me on Instagram, Kurt the Hurt Holobaugh.
Kurt, it was more than a pleasure, man. I wish you the best of luck in your upcoming fight. Folks, that'll be all for today. Until next time, peace.